Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, and as you guys can see, the crypto market is not doing great while I'm recording the video, but we do have some really interesting and big news. A lot of people are talking about this with Ripple, and that could end up turning the tide here in the near term, but we'll have to see how things continue to play out. Of course, Bitcoin is the big dog, and we tend to see a lot of crypto follow suit with wherever it's going. And with Bitcoin, it is down a pretty decent amount. And also, people are quite fearful right now. Looking at the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, we're sitting at 10. That's right, 10, the extreme fear. So we did see single digits here just, I believe, yesterday. But yes, it is still extremely low, and this is not an ideal situation by any standard. And if we take a look at Bitcoin's price, it does appear that while I was preparing my video, it has just bounced up a little bit because this was essentially dropping down. And here we're at $61,243. You guys can keep an eye on the price while I continue to talk about this. It's dropping down a tad bit more right there. The amount of the candle here is starting to look like it's encompassing most of what took place from June 7th. We do have a red candle as of yesterday. It was making an attempt to go above this key Fibonacci zone. I keep talking about this in my videos, and it stays consistent and it seems quite reliable here. We've got $63,200. So it did manage to break above that, came down, closed just barely above it. Then we closed barely below it, and then on the new day formation, looks like it's having a further push down, and we might end up seeing this almost be like a mini dead cat bounce, right? So like, oh, things are starting to look a little bit better, and then it might end up dropping even harder. Now, what's also scary is that if this does continue to drop within the Fibonacci zone of where we are, we're looking at a bottom test at $48,300. Of course, $50,000 is a psychological level. Yes, that is a point where it could potentially bounce off of, but you also need to keep in mind that when we're just talking about sequencing here, the TA, $48,400 is going to be a very important position. And also, let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit more. We did hit a low bounce here back on around $59,060. So we might see it attempt right around that range. We do see the next day was pretty close to that, $59,500. So right around in this territory, we might see it have a higher level activity, either a bounce or a potential dramatic crash. And the volume itself here is almost as much as yesterday, but you guys can see for the last 3 days, volume itself has been very, very poor. And we're starting to see a little bit more activity today, and more than likely going to surpass what we had for yesterday. Now let's go ahead and move on. Some very big news here having to do with XRP. Check it out. Japan's SBI Shinsei Bank will let customers turn their deposit interest into XRP, with the pilot launching June 10th. So we're literally 1 day away from this. So in simple words, normally, when you keep money in a bank, you earn a small interest payment in cash. SBI Shinsei Bank is changing that. Customers can now choose to receive a portion of their interest as actual crypto, including XRP, instead of yen. So how does it work? Customers earn interest on their yen deposits as usual. They can convert roughly 20% of that interest into crypto vouchers. Those vouchers can be redeemed for Bitcoin, Ethereum, or XRP. The conversion uses live market rates at the time of redemption. The pilot begins June 10th with full rollout planned for autumn of 2026. So why does this matter? SBI is one of Japan's most powerful financial conglomerates and Ripple's longest standing partner since 2012. This makes XRP a built-in reward inside mainstream Japanese banking, not a separate crypto app. Millions of everyday savers get exposure to XRP simply by keeping money in the bank. It builds directly on SBI's hyper deposit product and the upcoming RLUSD launch in Japan. SBI is not just offering crypto. SBI is wiring XRP directly into the act of saving money. And as they mentioned here, really good Twitter account, Rippleziety. You can follow them for the deep links nobody else is connecting in the XRP ecosystem. So very, very good information right there. And next up, we have a post here from the Real Remy Relief. Top of the morning, XRP millionaires. Japan's interest rate meeting scheduled for June 14th to the 15th. It's rumored that Japan will increase rates for the first time in 30 years. The reverse carry trade will give us a $100 to $150 XRP rather quickly once it starts unwinding. I would love to see that happen. I am very skeptical about this. Right now, we are struggling to try and get back to $2, let alone we're talking double digits, 10, 11, 12, $50. We're talking triple digits here, 100 to 150. It is definitely out of the realm of ordinary and out of what many people would consider even possible. But crazy things happen in the industry space, new protocols, new systems, new industries just in general. So we'll have to see how this continues to play out. And up next, XRP volume explodes on Binance. XRP's Binance volume Z-score surged to its highest level in 4 months. Crypto quant analysts Arab Chain reported on June 8th. The metric climbed to nearly 4.5 before quickly reversing. The spike points to a brief burst of intense market activity followed by a fading momentum. Analysts say the move may reflect heightened selling pressure and investor repositioning. CryptoQuant notes that trading volumes have now fallen below their 30-day average. And this is some pretty intimidating news. And it's important because this could very well ripple over into the crypto market and stocks. So Anthropic is expected to release Claude Mythos tomorrow. This is an AI model. The same model it said was too dangerous to make public. A Mythos 1 tag was briefly spotted inside the Claude Code UI last week before being pulled, signaling a public release is imminent. In a restricted preview, Mythos found 271 vulnerabilities in Firefox alone, including a 15-year-old bug in Mozilla's HTML engine and a 20-year-old flaw in its XML processor that years of human auditing had completely missed. Mozilla went from patching 21 security issues per month to 423 in a single month. When Mythos was first leaked in March, you saw CrowdStrike, it fell 7%, Palo Alto fell 6%, Zscaler, that went down 4.5%, Okta and Netscope, 7%, Tenable, 9%, Cloudflare, that went down 13%, Thomson Reuters went down 19%. You have RELX, 15%, and LegalZoom, that crashed 20%. The S&P 500 software and services index fell 2.6% in a single session, is now down 12% since January. There is a crypto exchange called BTCC. If you guys have not heard of this, it's been around for 13 years and you get access to over 300 crypto futures. There's also a bonus, 10% if you deposit over $500 of USDT. And bonuses go all the way up to $10,055. If you want to look into this more, if you're ready to get started, you can find my referral link down in the description below. And let's go and move on to the news. All right, so Stellar Rippler says, do you now realize why BlackRock is delaying XRP and XLM ETFs? Also why Larry Fink said, quote, I can't talk about XRP ETF at this stage, and then smirked. They were never just trading assets, and BlackRock knew it's going to be biblical. And from the XRP Ledger Foundation, they're strengthening network monitoring on the XRP Ledger alongside PeerSys, building a robust 24/7 consensus health and performance tracking DUNL validator and hub monitoring, automated network alerts, and status reporting. The XRPL and Ripple, Brink, they work together, just launched an official program. Applications are now open for founders building the future of global payments and financial infrastructure, launching June 8th, 2026. This is the ecosystem doubling down on builders. And from Evernorth, this is a bit lengthy, but I'm going to go ahead and read the first part here. So Bitcoin ETFs recorded $2.4 billion in net outflows in May. XRP ETFs, well, they drew $132 million in net inflows. Same market, very different thesis. And from Smoke, the Genius Act implementation that could amplify the utility of XRP. The legislation mandates reserve requirements, licensing frameworks, and interoperability standards, seeking to integrate stablecoins like Ripple's RLUSD into mainstream finance while mitigating systemic risks. So for XRP, this regulatory clarity could amplify its utility since RLUSD transactions on the XRPL already account for over 95% of stablecoin activity on the ledger, with each transaction requiring XRP for fee payments mechanism that reduces XRP circulating supply through burns. And Ripple is not just testing the XRPL lending protocol, they're using formal verification, math-based proofs to hunt bugs that normal testing can't even see. Working with common prefix to stress tests, this is before the mainnet because one flaw in the layer 1 core code could equal every app built on it is affected. Traditional testing is not enough when you're building DeFi directly into layer 1. Ripple engineer Vito Tumas. And looking at the XRP price, similar to what we had going on with Bitcoin, it did have a little bit of a lower point here on the day. We're seeing a slight bounce. It's still struggling though with this. Although we are seeing with this candle, it did wipe out the gains from yesterday. There's still quite a bit of a body candle from June 7th that we have not tapped into. The Bollinger Band itself still starting to converge just slightly here, but it's pretty wide. It's definitely wider than we were seeing back, say, on May 13th. And you're looking at a low point if it drops below $1, going all the way down here to 86 cents, but that's quite dramatic. And then we're looking at a level of resistance. I would say ideally the median line of the Bollinger Band first at $1.27, and then trying to break above this zone where all the consolidation has been happening at around $1.36, almost $1.37. And then after that, you got $1.40 for the Fibonacci and try to make its way even up higher. But right now, it just needs to have some momentum actually going up. That's what I got for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. I'm Crypto Atlas over there. Thank you to my YouTube members. God bless, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.